How's it going, everybody? Sessiion here. Welcome to the 6.6.0 PTB patch notes for Dead by Daylight. We finally have it here. We're going to be taking a quick look at everything that's going on, and by quick look I mean we're going to deep dive into it and get a really big overview about what's to come for this. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see what we've got in store for this game in terms of all the changes, in terms of what is coming in new. Now I also want to say that there was essentially something that surfaced and leaked about the patch notes and the information for the new killer and survivors. Apparently, instead of being a 1-and-1, it's actually 1 killer and 2 survivors, and so that means that we're going to get a bunch of perks, a bunch of stuff, changes the whole way through. So we're going to take a look at it and see what we got going on here. Of course, the page on the right here is going to showcase all the tabs that we have coming up, but we're going to of course take a deep dive and look at everything as it will be. So without further ado, let's crack into it. Okay. Progress and save data information has been copied from the PTB for the game as of the 6th. Okay, cool. So the new content, this is the killer, it's called the Skull Merchant. So the name of the killer actually did get leaked along with just like the concept that it was 1 killer and 2 survivors. There was no visual prowess showcasing the killer, but it was given the impression that the killer was like a 2-word killer. So the Skull Merchant is the name of the killer. So here we have it. The perks are as follows. We have Game Afoot. While you are chasing the obsession, the perk activates. Damaging generators and destroying breakable walls and pallets gives you a 5% haste stats effect for 10 seconds using the level 3 version. Whenever you hit the survivor with the total most time in chase with a basic attack, they become the obsession. The killer can only be... Wait, okay. So, while you are chasing the obsession, the perk activates, and then when you damage a generator and destroy a wall or a pallet, you get a haste effect for 10 seconds. And then when you hit a survivor, with the total most time in chase, within its... Oh! So... when you hit somebody who's being chased by the killer the most, they become... So you actually have the ability now to transfer the obsession to somebody else now as the killer. Interesting. Okay. Then the next... I mean, I don't know how that'll play out, but I feel like that haste effect might be pretty decent in some scenarios. We'll see. Next perk is Thwack. It's a great name. After hooking a survivor, performing the break action on the next breakable wall or pallets will make survivors within 32 meters scream and reveal their aura for 4 seconds. Thwack is active for 75 seconds after the survivor is hooked. Oh, interesting. So you get a hook and it's active. So when you kick something, anybody near that thing that you kick, they get revealed. Okay, so you have essentially almost a minute and a quarter to kick something to reveal it. That's actually pretty fascinating, because you can pretty much hold on to it for a minute and use it when necessary. So I think Thwack is going to become Thwack is going to be a very powerful perk. And last perk we have from the killer is Leverage. Each time you hook a survivor, you gain a token up to 10 tokens. Okay, when you hook a survivor, this perk activates. For each token, it reduces the speed at which survivors heal by 5% for 30 seconds. Okay, for each token though. So, oh, that's like a really strong anti-heal perk though. Because the thing is that there's no way to reduce the token usage. So literally, for each time you hook a person, it increases by 5% when you... This is the best perk that the killer has without a question of doubt. For each token, it reduces the speed at which they can heal for 30. Well, it's good. Here's the thing though, like it's gonna be stacked and it's gonna reset. So if I get a hook on somebody, then for 30 seconds I can essentially have that much time to put another hook before they get to heal up and the reduction goes away. So you can essentially do this 30 seconds 10 times, which is like a lot. If you essentially get hooks back to back, then you essentially can force people to heal. The healing gets worse and worse by the time for 5 minutes. if the consecutiveness of it is actually happening. So okay, so I think all in all, these perks are pretty they add a lot of complexity, but they also add a lot of value too. So Game of Foot is definitely a very situational base perk, but it's nice. Thwack is definitely going to be extremely good because of the situational that you can just create out of it. And then Leverage is going to be a very good, progressively getting worse perk for the survivors. So I think people are going to heavily thrive on Leverage out of the perks that the killer brings to the table. So we'll see. All in all, though, I like Leverage sounds very powerful. Thwack sounds very situational, and Game of Foot seems kind of like player specific. I think that's how I feel about it overall. Now we got survivors. We got Thalita Lyra. Her perks, I mean, I don't know. I just immediately thought her. It just seems like a her. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry for assuming. Thalita's perks are Cut Loose. After performing a rushed vault in a chase, the perk activates. While active, your rushed vaults are silent for up to 6 seconds, and successfully performing a rushed vault during that time resets the timer. That's actually kind of nuts. What? Okay, so if you can keep on hopping over things, then your vaults are silent. But the problem is that you don't hide your scratch marks. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I'm just trying to think about. I'm already thinking like, oh my gosh, right? But this perk is good. I think that this perk, the fact that you can consecutively reset the time constantly like this, though, 6 seconds is a pretty good chunk of time to be doing this, because I think it also still applies on the same window and same palette. So whenever you do a rushed vault over anything, so if you think about it, you know, in a manner of speaking, if you're trying to loop around like two windows and a palette that's dropped, then you can kind of have this linger for at least 18 seconds of when your vaults are silent, because it's gonna hide the audio cue that the killer gets when you vault over it, but it isn't going to hide the scratch marks. So theoretically, if there was a way that you can reduce scratch marks at the same time for it, that'd be so crazy as a perk. So Cut Loose seems pretty sick. Next, we have Friendly Competition. Whenever you finish repairing a generator with at least one other survivor, this perk activates. You and other survivors who finish repairing a generator with you get a 5% increased repair progress speed for 75 seconds. And only survivors can have one instance of the perk. Oh my. Okay. Friendly Competition is definitely going to be an extremely potent perk for survivors. Because literally, okay, as a survivor player, I'm gonna like Friendly Competition a lot, because it's gonna work really well with the perks that I like using, and I already know the build that I want to use with that build or with that perk. I'm gonna keep it to myself for now so I can kind of experiment with it, but like thoroughly speaking though, I think a lot of people will figure it out also. But absolutely, Friendly Competition is an extremely good perk, all things considered. So I'm looking forward to using that. Next we have Teamwork Power of, it's hyphenated, it's colons. Like, you know how you like hex something or like boon something, it says teamwork. So okay, I don't know. Whenever you finish healing another survivor, you both move 5% faster as long as you stay within 12 meters of the survivor you healed, or until one loses a health state. Okay, so it's like Blood Pack. Teamwork Power 2 can only trigger once every 140 seconds, and survivors can be affected by one Teamwork of Power 2 at a time. Isn't that kind of weird? Because it's just Blood Pack. It's the same thing as Blood Pack, isn't it? Where like if you heal and you're near each other, then you get a. Maybe they reworked it. I mean, from what I'm understanding for so far, at least though, this perk seems very similar to Blood Pack. So if it's stackable, then that'd be kind of nuts. I'm very curious to see how this perk will come into play with people. It also only triggers either up to 3 minutes or up to 2 minutes and 20 seconds though. That's such a long time for you to use this perk. So I feel like there's going to be some kind of value out of it that's going to make some kind of sense. But I mean, it's going to really depend on like how it pairs up with other perks. So we'll see. So all in all, Cut Loose sounds really sick. Friendly Competition is my personal favorite perk for sure. And Teamwork Power Up 2 is a bit questionable only because I don't really know enough of what to expect from the perk. Since there's already a perk that's already in the game that gives me the exact same vibe from it. So I feel like because there's two versions of the perk in my mind already existing, I don't really know what to expect. So I'm just gonna hold on to that thought for now. So we'll see. Then we got Renato Lira. Their perks are Background Player. Sounds like a gamer. Okay. After you unhook another survivor and break into sprint at 150 of your normal running speed for 6 seconds and gain exhaustion. Wait, it's an exhaustion perk? Wait. Okay. You unhook a survivor. You can break into sprint for 6 seconds and gain exhaustion for up to 40 seconds from 60. Okay. The perk can't be used while suffering from exhaustion. Bro, they gave there's a sprint unhook exhaustion perk now in this game? Okay. That's interesting. So you break into a sprint after you unhook a person. That's so fascinating. And it's a 6 second sprint as well. You know what I wonder? I wonder if you can like fake the unhook. I wonder if it happens the moment you go for it, or if it's like when you actually finalize the bar for the unhook and then you're in the animation for it, because the animation kind of takes like a second to like 2 seconds. So 6 seconds sounds like a lot, but it kind of sort of isn't, if depending on how it works. But if you can fake the, you know how sometimes when someone's like hooked and you try to pick them up but then you can't because the killer's coming, so you gotta run for it. If you can do it right there, that'd be so powerful. But I feel like this is an extremely situationally interesting perk. So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna just depend on what it how it functions in comparison. So we'll see. Next perk we have is Blood Rush. Perk activates once you are one hook away from instant death. Okay. While healthy, running, and suffering from exhaustion, you press the active ability button to lose a health state and recover from exhaustion instantaneously, and you gain broken for up to oh my, okay. What? So when you are on your second pip, while you're healthy, running, and suffering from exhaustion, so you have to be healthy and exhausted, you press the button to lose. You basically give yourself a for the people and you recover from exhaustion. You're automatically healed from injured to healthy after 20 seconds. Blood Rush is going to be extremely freaking cracked. This perk is going to instantaneously become the anti-killer perk, 100%. That's wild. So the problem is that it's extremely dangerous, because if you don't appropriately use it in a scenario that makes sense, that's kind of nuts. But like also you can do so much with it though, because again, this perk can be compared, or it can be paired with other perks that make this function stronger. So now I'm expecting there's going to be a lot of power play with this perk, 100% guaranteed. So yeah, when you're second pipped, if you activate the button, you make yourself broken and injured, and you recover from exhaustion instantaneously, and you get broken for 20 seconds. You're automatically healed from injured to healthy after 20 seconds, which is also like the thing is that you literally get to I wonder how often you can do it though. It'd be crazy if you can do it infinitely. We'll see. Being put into dying state will cancel the healing effect. Activating Blood Rush will disable for the remainder of the trial. Oh, it's a one-time use. Okay. I want to say exhaustion prevents survivors from activating other perks to cause exhaustion, and then the broken prevents survivors from being healed. Yes. Okay, so it's a one-time use perk. That definitely is a crazy. That's a crazy perk. Wow. I can already imagine every single exhaustion perk working like crazy for this perk. It's also interesting because like I want to say this out loud, but I also don't want you to get the idea behind it. There was never okay. I don't really think that there was ever a reason in this game to run two exhaustion perks for two different scenarios. This perk officially makes that scenario actually possible. So like, I'm gonna say it out loud. If you go to like Haddonfield and you're in the upstairs building and you have balance landing, sprint burst, and blood rush, right? You rush vault over the you rush vault. I mean, you can even use it with cut loose. If you fast vault over the window on the top and you land with balance landing, right? You run, then you activate blood rush, and then you can use sprint burst, and then you literally you're freaking gone. I can see blood rush being extremely powerful as a getaway option from the killer, as an option to keep looping and kiting the killer around the map. So I think blood rush is going to be an extremely powerful perk. So that's kind of crazy. And lastly, we have teamwork, collective stealth. Whenever another survivor finishes healing you, you both leave no scratch marks as long as you stay within 12 meters of the survivor who healed you, or until one loses a health state. Okay, so there's officially like another like, I'm gonna call it a category. There's officially another category of perks that you have. So you have boons, you have hexes, and now you have teamwork. So teamwork, power of 2, and teamwork, collective stealth do the same thing, right? When you finish healing a survivor, then you can either leave no scratch marks as long as you're close to each other, or you move 5% faster. So I think both of those perks together will actually work out really well, especially if someone is playing like a healer class sort of thing. So both of these work individually well by themselves, and they both work pretty well together too. So I feel like you can really bounce around with it. So it's going to be pretty crazy to see what kind of builds people come up with using these two perks. Blood rush is nuts. That perk is actually like that's a wow perk. So I think out of Renato's perks, my personal favorite I would say is teamwork, collective stealth. I think blood rush though is insane. And background player seems cool. It's just interesting to see how it like comes into play. So we'll find out. And then for Thalita, I think that my favorite is definitely friendly competition. Power of 2 seems really cool. Cut loose is interesting though, so we'll see. Map changes. They change Shelter Woods. Deep in the heart of Shelter Woods lies the Skull Merchant's hunting camp. Wait, what? They changed Shelter Woods? Okay. Red Forest visual update. Okay. They include Temple of Purgation and Mother's Dwelling. Okay, so we'll see how that visual update comes into play. I kind of saw like a teaser for it. It's like more red instead of it being more blue. Like the hue is usually like a deeper blue. I think now it's gonna be more reddish. So we'll see how that comes into play as well. Visual update for Hattie. They improved a visual to her eyes and her hair color. Wait, hair shape and color adjust to be more effective for her lore. They added blood to her prestige hair, and they added a visual update to her uncommon skin makeup, and icon portrait has got updated. Okay, so they updated her stuff. So quality of life, we got the map repeat prevention. So long story short, what this is when you go into a trial and all of these survivors are together, if they all play different maps, then there's a high likelihood that those maps won't be replayed for the 4 of them, which is cool. They mentioned this very briefly in a previous update, kind of talking about what to expect for the PTB in update. So this is a cool functionality that they're going to add. Loading timeout. After analyzing data on our site, we established that after set load, expected loading times for each of the steps while loading into a trial. As a result, if any player crashes or hangs while loading, we will not be able to return everyone to the tally much earlier. That's actually right. That's actually very nice. Because there have definitely been moments where we sat in the menu for like a little bit under a minute, but we didn't really know what happened, so we just immediately assumed that someone like lagged out of the game. So at least now it's faster. We know sometimes you may face unsportsmanlike behavior even before a match. we now have an added option to report a player from the online lobby. Okay. And then perk changes, yeah, they changed any means necessary. They removed the cooldown so that you can just use it whenever. And then they changed eruption from it being a incapacitation perk to now being a an aura screen perk. We've already talked about this beforehand. We already kind of gave in our 2 cents about it. So you know, we have that also already uploaded too, so you can check that out if you want to. But we already kind of mentioned eruption and how many people may or may not like the changes for that perk, so we'll see. Any means necessary though is also going to be an interesting change, so we'll definitely take a look at that too. Pre-game improvements for bots in custom games. So yeah, now you can pick certain people in custom, which is cool. You can put perks in customs for bots, which is cool. So you can save up to 4 bot perk loadouts. That's actually a W. So now all options for loadouts are currently supported by bots, which makes sense because they're not going to really be able to use every single perk. Like as a bot, they don't need to, obviously, because they just know everything that's going on. So we'll see how that kind of comes into play. Yeah, and then they mentioned that for in-game improvements, they respond better while in terror radius of multiplayer maps. If you literally played Midwich with bots, if you were on the second floor, and the things that the bot knew that the killer was on the second floor, but they acted as if like the killer was right with them downstairs on the first floor. It was really weird. So fixing that was really good. Their bots are more likely to pick up drop items. They use the haste effect more effectively after being hit by the killer. They no longer overcome the existential dread when broken and holding a medkit. Yeah, they literally just sit there and they didn't do anything. It was crazy. They no longer automatically know where their rekindled pentimento totem is located, and they don't know where the perk. Oh, they don't automatically know the perk associated with the hex. Interesting. Bots should now make more strategically sound rescues in a killer's presence. They increase the decision making, the pathing. They now prioritize gaining distance from the killer over seeking a nearby loop. Bots react more accurately to sound, especially from killer powers. Injured bots are now more effective at healing one another, and when searching for closets, when searching for the closest locker, bots no longer are confused by lockers on a floor below or above. Okay, and now, oh, and then these are how the bots act against certain killers. Okay, so we have all this stuff. They don't try to blind the Demogorgon when it's upside down. That's funny, actually. They know to crouch to avoid triggering the hag's traps, and they no longer fear approaching Charlotte when Victor is active. Cool. All right. Audio fixes. The generator sounds no longer are muffled to those repairing it. Reworked how survivors scream when getting hooked to make it more natural. Interesting. Fix an issue where if ending a trial as the Cenobite while in the gateway, playing the next trial as the Cenobite would cause the killer essentially to. Oh, I see. Okay. They updated the nurse's power description. The dredge no longer becomes invisible when teleporting into a locker at the same time a survivor enters it. Okay. The dredge no longer retains bloodlust when teleporting to lockers. That is a thing. The fact that that was a thing is actually kind of like... Dredge power of the gloaming can no longer be incorrectly cancelled while charging. Okay. Killer instincts no longer revealed to survivors in lockers from which the dredge previously teleported to. Oh, I didn't even think about that being a thing for the killer. I never played Dredge. I just play against Dredge. I didn't realize that the killer instinct was always revealed on survivors that were in lockers that the killer had been in. This makes sense because there was a moment where I literally stood near a locker and tried to lock it, and then the killer like instantly just went there. It was weird. Fix an issue that caused injured female survivor bodies to clip through the wraith when being grabbed from a locker while he's cloaked. Okay. Fix it where crash after teleporting to a portal of the Demogorgon. The trickster can no longer see the impact effects of thrown blades when blinded. Cool. The Oni's Demon Dash progress bar no longer remains white when Scalped Top Knot add-on is equipped. Torment Trails no longer applied to survivors by the Executioner. Okay. After vaulting without moving as a knight. Oh, I see. Okay. The Night Scars no longer spawn mid-air in certain areas. I have definitely seen that before, and it's kind of hilarious. During nights, Guard your companion unit. It's no longer possible to see the killer's red stain or idle crows spawned while in guard some mode. Knight's guards no longer trigger the hidden corpse jump scare event when patrolling in the Midwich locker room. Hidden corpse. I don't know what that is. Okay. Hey. The perk Deja Vu no longer activates after the Jealous Simulator is completed. That's like whatever. The perk Coup de Grace not correctly extended to the first line as a token has been gained. The Knight's power cannot be cancelled by head on. That's actually pretty crazy. The Killer Shack loop and the Garden of Joy map is no longer. Oh, that was a real thing. Okay, I actually used to understand. Okay, sorry, I like freaked out because there was a moment where I played this level and I was by that shack and I played against a hillbilly and that debris was there and I couldn't go through the window, so I panicked and I basically got down. It was really crazy. I didn't know that was like a thing. Okay, we're good. Haddonfield Porch Knights now will operate as intended when the generator is complete. The killer will no longer be able to climb on top of the Eerie of Crow's Killer Shack pallets or get trapped in it. Interesting. Pallets in the decimated burgo will no longer fail to shake when kicked. Killers can no longer become distinct when standing in certain area tiles of the Crow Killer Shack. Okay. The killers cannot consistently open the character info menu while in the lobby. Okay. Players affected by this custom penalty shall not receive equipment. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, that one I get to. Server self unhooking and running away no longer receives experience in small branding issue. Okay. All perks that are unbalanced to and triggered by a mouse scroll. Cool. Exposed status effect no longer becomes incorrupted spade as a time icon when the player is permanently exposed. Oh, I see. That makes sense actually. Yeah, the bar is like red and like thick when it has like a timer. So like NOED has it was a thick red bar and it kind of told you that the timer would go away. So they took that out, which is cool. If it's a thin red line, you know that it's like a perma exposed. So that's cool. Okay. You know what though? For all things considered, they didn't really change perks like that. I wasn't really expecting them to like nerf and buff a bunch of perks, but I definitely was expecting them to do something besides just eruption. I don't know. I think I constantly wonder when they're gonna add or make changes to perks, because we're kind of going through like a thoughts on a perk listing right now, so I'm going to eventually break down every perk that is in the game currently and how I feel about it. So in my mind I was thinking that they were going to essentially do some changes with perks more so than just adding the survivors and the killers perks, but this is a very short and sweet update compared to what we usually end up getting for some of these. So I kind of understand it. This is definitely more of a quality of life update while also introducing to us a new killer and a new survivor. So I think all in all, a lot of this is really cool. And of course it's the PTB, so we got a lot more to look forward to when the big update like fully comes out as it kind of progresses. So the problem though is, okay, I mean theoretically the problem, right? There's no information on the killer's powers. So I still don't know what the killer looks like. I don't know what the killer does as a power, and I don't know how they function. So all we know is the perks are like officially a thing. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of more digging to figure out exactly what else is to come from this killer and the survivors. So hopefully you guys look forward to all this. I think all in all, I'm really excited to see just how the killer is played. I gotta go find the killer. That's like the long story short of it all. So I gotta go find the killer. The perks are really cool. The changes for the bots was really cool. Character perks, maps, and UI changes are also pretty helpful and welcomed. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see all of this come into fruition. So let me know what you think, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the new killer.